In a small farming village in the countryside of England, year 1346, a middle-aged woman in her 26th year named Marjorie lived. Marjorie lived in the same village her whole life and has been working and helping her peasant family for as long as she remembers. Married to a farmer who was called by the vassal to war, Marjorie is the lower class of society. Marjorie's lifestyle was quite basic, as she could not afford the more expensive luxuries like silk, spices, and jewelry. In the heat of the vicious 100 Years' War, Marjorie's country was short of men in one of its poorest states. Marjorie, pregnant while her husband is away at war, has to manage the household and care for herself. Living in her single-roomed home made of wood, stone, twigs, and a material called wattle, Marjorie cooked over the fire in the center of the room and slept in beds of straw, along with livestock such as chickens and goats. Marjorie searched throughout the village for a job, but no one would hire her. She wondered why. Why would no one hire her? In truth, at the time, women were to blame for mankind's banishment from paradise in the story of Adam and Eve, and even inspired a book called The Legend of Good Women. Although no one hired her, Marjorie could make enough money to pay taxes and purchase necessities of life at the time. Marjorie's home had a garden outside, where she grew the vast majority of her food. She grew fruits and vegetables along with a stable for raising animals. She ate food from her garden like onions, leek, pears, beans, apples, oats, cherries, peaches, and processed rye or barley bread, which is cooked over the fire. More rare foods that she had the opportunity to eat were fish and meats, such as beef, pork, or lamb, which she bought from the villagers' market or obtained from slaughtering her animals. The daily life and chores of a peasant woman such as Marjorie started early, at 3 a.m. She cooked for herself, but would also cook for the rest of the family if they were present. The breakfast was commonly pottage, a thick soup from vegetables and other plant matter. By dawn, Marjorie worked in her husband's field. It was especially busy around the times of harvest in summer. Life was difficult for Marjorie, impoverished and living by herself, left to manage the farm, animals, the garden, and soon to come a baby. Alas, after work in the fields, she tended to livestock like geese or chickens and have other responsibilities, like spinning wool or mending clothes. As the evening approached, Marjorie's responsibilities ranged from preserving food, preparing for night by making rushes, which were candle-like pieces of paper, for light at night, and tending to the garden. Women would also care for children and needed a basic understanding of herbal remedies and nursing, which Marjorie learned as she prepares for her baby while her husband is off in war just before dusk. Marjorie finishes up her work for the day and returns home to eat dinner. It was common for Marjorie to wait for her husband to finish eating before she started, for he is the man of the house and had more power. Marjorie sleeps and wakes up at 3 a.m. the next day to repeat this hard and long day of work, especially during the summer. It is now months later, and Marjorie is far into her pregnancy. While she is picking crops from the garden, a messenger on horseback trots over to her house and calls for her. He informs her that her husband has been killed in the Battle of Crecy, the most important battle of the 100 Years' War, commanded by King Edward III, who is widely considered to be one of the nation's finest kings. The battle, which led to the loss and eventual downfall of the French army, because French reinforcements could not reach Calais, a French city. Marjorie is devastated. She will have to care for her child herself and manage the property in her husband's absence. Marjorie mourns and prays to God that she will survive what may be the largest danger women faced at the time, childbirth. It was common for women at the time to die during childbirth, and even more common for the baby to die during or soon after birth. Marjorie waited for the baby to come and preferred clothes for the baby in her little free hours. She would name the baby Baxter, as one of her favorite hobbies, baking. As fall approached, Marjorie had more free time, for the harvest is past and the days are slow. Marjorie's hobbies included helping local children, shearing sheep, spinning wool, baking, gardening, washing laundry at the stream where fishermen worked. While she was at the stream, suddenly As she watched the close, Marjorie went into labor. She yelled for help, and fishermen came to her aid. One later runs off to find help, and the others calm her down and bring water to her from the stream. The fisherman returns with the apothecary, who gives Marjorie spices and herbs to help with the pain. There is nothing more he can do, and Marjorie is losing power. After what seems like hours, Marjorie succumbs and dies in childbirth. Baxter is born and taken in by the apothecary, who is a middle-class man who is respected in the community. However, the baby is in poor health and dies days after birth.